Greetings, friends, and welcome to this week's Midweek Meditation with the Minister. I'm Reverend Dawn Fortune of the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of the South Jersey Shore in Galloway, New Jersey. You can join us for worship at 10 o'clock on Sunday mornings. The link is easy to find on our website at uucsjs.org. It is 13 days before the presidential election in the United States, so if you have not voted yet where you are, then please make sure you do that. Make a plan whether you're going to vote on election day in person or whether you're going to get an absentee ballot and mail it in. You want to be on that right away. It's important that your voice gets heard and counted, especially this year. Our meditation this week is a seasonal piece. It's a favorite of mine. It's also by one of my favorite poets, one of the first people that actually I could hear poetry and start to understand and comprehend the feeling behind the poet. So today's meditation is called The Seven of Pentacles. It's written by Marge Piercy, who is simply brilliant. And it's been published in a handful of different places in anthologies and in collections of her work. So let's listen. The Seven of Pentacles by Marge Piercy. Under a sky the color of pea soup, she is looking at her work growing away there. Actively, thickly, like grapevines or pole beans, as things grow in the real world, slowly enough. If you tend them properly, if you mulch, if you water, if you provide birds that eat insects a home and winter food, if the sun shines and you pick off caterpillars, if the praying mantis comes and the ladybugs and the bees, then the plants flourish, but at their own internal clock. Connections are made slowly. Sometimes they grow underground. You cannot always tell by looking what is happening. More than half the tree is spread out in the soil directly under your feet. Penetrate quietly as the earthworm that blows no trumpet. Fight persistently as the creeper that brings down the tree. Spread like the squash plant that overruns the garden. Gnaw in the dark and use the sun to make sugar. Weave real connections, create real nodes, build real houses. Live a life you can endure. Make love that is loving. Keep tangling and interweaving and taking more in. A thicket and bramble wilderness to the outside, but to us interconnected with rabbit runs and burrows and lairs. Live as if you liked yourself, and it may happen. Reach out, keep reaching out, keep bringing in. This is how we are going to live for a long time. Not always, for every gardener knows that after the digging, after the planting, after the long season of tending and growth, the harvest comes. That's the Seven of Pentacles by Marge Piercy. We've been thinking a lot in October about deep listening, and one of the things this always brings to mind is the connections are made slowly. Sometimes they grow underground. Sometimes our connections they happen in places we don't see them. They're not flashy and they're not brilliant. They're not shiny on the outside where everyone can see them. Sometimes our connections are quiet. Sometimes they're just a kind word or a meeting the eyes of a stranger in a store or outside walking. Penetrate quietly as the earthworm that blows no trumpet. Fight persistently as the creeper that brings down the tree. In this election season, that feels like good strategy and good self-care. When one side is blowing trumpets and making a lot of noise, another side is working quietly, like the earthworm that blows no trumpet, but without whom life can't be. and fighting persistently as the creeper that brings down the tree. Those have been important words for social justice movements and grassroots organizations always. Spread like the squash plant that overruns the garden, and gnaw in the dark, and use the sun to make sugar. It's late October, excuse me. The leaves are falling off the trees, the air is getting crisp. And last night I sat out by my backyard fire and listened to the crickets in the neighborhood, listened to the birds. And I encourage you to do the same. Remember, connections are made slowly, and sometimes they grow underground. And we have to listen deeply and carefully and thoughtfully to get in touch with those connections. And so my wish for you this week is peace and health and joy and some serenity. And listen deeply. Be open to what the world has to offer. Be well. I'll see you next week.